I've talked to actuaries who work for insurance companies and do these kind of risk calculations for a living. They're staggered that nonprofits would self-insure.
Yes.
They're just absolutely staggered because it makes no, from an actuarial standpoint, it's just betting the ranch on, you know, why if it is such a good idea actuarially to at least hedge your bets a little bit, right, to lay some of the risk off on a big insurance company, what holds charities back from doing it more often?
I think that's such a good question. The main reason why are most charities created their pools in the 80s and the 90s, and you had the biggest, longest bull market run in the history of the world. So that experience of incredible growth within the pools during those 2 decades created a market norm that you would not reinsure. Why would you reinsure and take off the liability to an insurance company when the stock market was going up at 18% a year forever?
Exactly.
So things have certainly changed, but I do think that it is still not the normal practice to reinsure gift annuities. And I would also suggest in many cases it's the decision process of whether or not they're going to reinsure or not goes through their investment committee. And that's neither good nor bad, but there aren't any insurance people on investment committees that I have ever seen.
Right.
So the question really becomes, do we have the sophistication and comfort to be able to manage this risk ourselves being the investment committee, or do we need to punt that risk because we are unable to do that, perhaps, to an insurance company? Right. And I think you can see.
I can see the dynamics for sure.
Those are interesting dynamics.
Right. Well, if we were counseling, which effectively we are, advisors who are capable of doing this kind of work, they sell the products and they understand the issues to a degree anyway. Would you recommend they devote a lot of time to this, just as a practical matter?
I would not. I'm in this space, so I probably should tell everybody not to be in this space. But I would also say that if this is all I were to do, I would have starved to death a long time ago, and I've been doing this now about 14 or 15 years. There are certainly cases that can come up with their charitable clients anyway, or with their individual clients. Perhaps they'd like to be able to make a very large gift to a charity, and the advisor is understandably concerned about the own financial capacity of the charity to make the gift. So from an advisor and individual standpoint, I think it can definitely make some sense around the edges, but it is a difficult market, I would suggest, to devote really any sort of time.
I've actually only known 2 people in my entire career, and I keep looking for them, who've actually more or less made a success of it. You're one of them, and you're saying, well, up to a point.
It's tough. It's tough, and it's one of those things too. It's a labor of love, and it's working with charities. And there's certainly some cases that are large.
But if the donor is working with an advisor who more or less has control of the situation, they're turning it to the advisor, and the advisor wants to make sure the charity is actually good to make the payments. They're not underestimating the risk. It might be wise to have that conversation with the charity about the possibility of reinsuring it to protect the client, as well as making a sale for the advisor. The other thing I want to ask you about is, I've often had this conversation where the beneficiary of the organization is going to get the gift annuity is really pretty shaky. They don't have many around. They don't have too many. They really don't have a program for it. And the client would like to do it, and the advisor would like to get it done and get it facilitated. And what I've suggested is they look at the possibility of just buying the single premium immediate annuity with cash, if cash is what the donor has to give.
Correct.
So they get the payments directly from an insurance company, and it's safe and it's about as straightforward as it can possibly be. And if it is a 65% of the money that's needed to buy that income, as in your example, you spend the 65 out of the 100 or out of the 10, the 65%. Get your income from the insurance company and just make a cash gift of the balance.
Yes.
Does that pretty much put people in the same place or not?
It's very close. There is some slippage on the deduction, usually about 6 to 8% or so. But I will tell you, many charities would love for the advisors to do that so that they don't have to register in various states and do the administration. Once you do one gift annuity as a charity, you're in the gift annuity business until that person dies. So many charities do not want to jump into this, obviously, with the performance of the last 10 or 13 years anyway. But I call that a gift annuity look-alike. It bifurcates, obviously, the life income, which is what the donor wanted to be able to get through the gift annuity, and then the gift portion. And it's just simply splitting the two immediately, and it's doing it at the donor and advisor level versus at the charity's level.
Right. Well, I've seen that work, and thank you for your wisdom.
Sure.
As well as your knowledge. Thank you.